Mr. Boris Johnson is not the solution for Europe. It is possibly a solution for the British Tory, the Conservative Party, whose members, 330 members, have voted over 5 phases to elect the possible leader of the Conservative Party automatically, which means automatically that 2 candidates are now running to be elected by the 160,000 members of the Conservative Party. Most of these members are conservative, many of them right-wing, and many are against Europe. So to find a deal, a good deal with Mr. Johnson for Europe, it's impossible. Yes, for the reason I just mentioned, he is an ardent propagandist of leaving the United Kingdom, letting the United Kingdom out of the European Union. He has worked very hard on it. He was a Secretary of Foreign Affairs, a very negative, a very difficult man. He was very popular because he was a very good mayor of London. But now he is under pressure to be different than Mrs. May. Mrs. May has been a failure. Mrs. May has not succeeded in anything. But the problems of England remain the same. I will explain to you. The choice of Mr. Johnson or somebody else will mean he is dealing in Parliament with the same group of people, 330 members of the Conservative Party. They don't have a majority. They have to be helped by 10 members of the Conservative parties of Northern Ireland. So the government is very fragile in its votes. They could call general elections, which means to go to the country and say, you vote for the new Prime Minister who is Labour or Conservative. They don't dare to do this because, for example, their results at the European elections were so miserable. They got about 7 or 8% of the vote in the European elections. The new Brexit party got over 30%. So they are afraid of their own people, the Brexit party, which may run in the elections. They're afraid of Labour, and they're afraid of losing. So Mr. Johnson or somebody else will not ask for general elections immediately because they risk to lose them. Now, they have to go to Europe and have to say, we want to renegotiate the contract, the treaty, as Mrs. May has already done. Mrs. May has failed to convince the Europeans, and there's no reason why they should now say, okay, we'll renegotiate. Maybe they do some cosmetic touches for the Northern Irish, Republican Irish border, so that it will not be a new religious civil war in Northern Ireland. Maybe there is a compromise on that issue possible, but no other issues are possible. Which means, at the end, we are facing what everybody is afraid of, a very rough crash out of the United Kingdom of Europe. Yes, and my prediction is the worst will win, which means there will be no understanding between Brussels and London. There's no reason why there should be now, an agreement of something, because they didn't have an agreement in 3 years. So it is unthinkable that the Europeans will give Mr. Johnson a lot of what he wants. So Mr. Johnson has threatened already that if he doesn't get anything, they will just crash out of the European community on the 31st of October, which would mean terrible chaos, terrible turmoil for the industries in Europe and in the United Kingdom. It'll be a terrible situation for all of us. And it is a terrible situation because only a few people in the United Kingdom are deciding the future of 300 million Europeans and 50 million British, Scottish, Irish people. It is a tragedy of history, but we'll face this history very soon. On the 22nd of July, the Conservative Party will decide and nominate and announce the candidate the Conservative Party has voted, probably Mr. Johnson. And then 10 weeks later, we are facing a hard Brexit. It's a tragedy.